they're obviously purposely shipping in the worst they
Yeah,
can get, do you know,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
low
Cause Chief,
prices as well and all that, do you know?
I don't know if you seen that video, but
Yeah, so
Chief talked about it, man. How there's this sort of like an unseen genocide that's happening like internally.
Prove to me that you are alive.
Was it
not so
drugs?
much
Like,
gun violence. So if you got to appreciate, guns are banned here, so you're not getting the same sort of gun violence that you're going to get in America, mate, because there's a lot less of them about. It's as simple as that. But without a doubt, where I got brought up, everything was based on violence. Everyone, you were fighting all the time. If you didn't fight, then people would take piss at you. 'Cause, but ultimately, that's just because I lived in a poor area, and I think that you either call it in England we'd call it a council estate, in America you call it projects, but all it is, it's just where poor people live.
mhm.
So wherever you're gonna get poor people, you're gonna get a certain way of life, and it's generally the same wherever you go in the world. It's just wherever poor people live. You're
So
gonna have
were there
violence, you're gonna have
what
crime, you're gonna have that way of life. Some places are
were
worse
there
than others.
were there drugs? Like, were there drugs? Like, did you guys have like drug dealers and all of that?
Oh, mate, even like now, mate, where I come from, pretty much every street's got its own drug dealer, and drugs,
Okay.
that's basically what my childhood was. From age of 13, that's what made everything was based around. It was based around drugs, selling drugs, taking drugs. Do you know what I mean? And everything that comes along with it. It was just, especially because a couple of my good friends, their parents were involved in it, so obviously it got gateway even more to other people, and just in the area where I brought up, there were a lot of different drug dealers, a lot of people who did crime. Crime was just a way of life. It's how we made money, and there were
Mhm.
quite a high percentage of that people who lived in my area. And it was a little bit different for us because we had a mum and dad who were Jehovah's Witnesses, and our house were really nice inside, on our council estate, where a lot of our mates that me and my brothers grew up with, um, in general, just had mums that didn't really have a dad,
No
or
dads, yeah.
if they had a dad, dad went in and out of jail,
Mhm.
or if they had a dad, sometimes they'd have a dad and a mum, but both of them would be alcoholics. Do you know what I mean? It were a lot of that scenarios going on in my circle of friends who I grew up with. So it was a little bit different for us. Like I say, we did have a mum and dad, and our mum did look after us as a mum should, in the sense that as our floor was typically clean, there was food on table, we had clean clothes, that type of stuff.
Mhm.
But unfortunately for some lads, it won't like that for them. Do you know what I mean? Which
What
understandably, they don't have a lot of these kids didn't stand a chance, and that's why they ended up going and doing
mhm.
loads of crime and taking loads of drugs, and then they end up becoming institutionalized. Then
Yeah.
where they're happy to go to jail. The amount of people I know over years who have been like, "Do you know what, I'm ready to go back to jail for a bit."
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Mm.
I was just explaining that to my wife, like, I think last week, man. Like, once you crack that, institution, man, when you're a little kid, it's hard. Like, first of all, you keep going back and forth. Like, you're always gonna get locked up a few years, like, in and out, man. And yeah, and it's hard to break that cycle, man. What I wanted to ask you is, since you call it like poor, and you're right, man. It's like people that are financially disadvantaged, let's say that, right? But you're
Yeah.
advantaged, you're advantaged in a lot of more things because you become street smart, and you be
Oh
like
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But this
There's a
this is
big
what
go on,
this
sorry.
is yeah, this is what I wanted to ask you. Like, who mostly lives in these areas in the UK? Like, as far as, are these people coming from Africa, or are they coming from Eastern Europe? Like,
Well,
who?
it totally changed. Where I got, where I'm from Airils actually originally, where they had a lot of riots there recently, about 2 weeks ago. But even when I lived there, that were predominantly British people living there. A lot of Irish as well, British and Irish people lived there. But by the time I sort of got to sort of like 10, 11, then it had a big sort of Asian community. And then where I lived though, where I got brought up from age 6 or 7, were sort of the other side of the city, and that were basically 95% white British. Everyone were just white British. I
Oh,
were quite rare that I were foreign. You know, because I had a foreign surname, so I won't class as English to my mates. They'd say
yeah,
he's Ukrainian. Do you know what
yeah.
I mean? Because I had a Ukrainian surname. And obviously it gets brought up at school every day, don't it? When they call it register out and the can't pronounce it and shit. So yeah, but everyone was just English. But that's totally where I got brought up. It doesn't exist anymore. All the people have gone. All the pubs have shut down. All the shops have gone, and there's a whole new group of people living there.
Oh wow.
But pretty much, like I'd say a good 60-70% of people who live there have gone. No one has really much to do with each other anymore like they used to, especially once they closed all pubs down.
Before I ask you the next question, just I'm not gonna mention your last name, but I hope that you know that the bird that's associated with your last name is actually sacred to the Slavic culture, man. Do you know
Yeah,
that?
I've had a little look into it actually, which is really funny actually. That what a mad experience that whole it is. Do you know? Because I told you about that grave in it when I was with my cousin.
Yeah,
And then going on and finding out what my name means. And so I've gone and had a little look into it, and it is funny because it's like me and my brother. I was talking about it with my brother recently. He used to be a really bad thief. He used to steal, just constantly stealing. Do you know what I mean? Especially because we were an heroin addict. You know,
yeah.
he's got
I used to steal too, bro. So it's
yeah,
so
he's
good.
just a real bad thief. And end of the day, I were a con man, really, in all fairness. Do you know what I mean? Because I was a salesman. So, and it can be associated with thieves and liars. And I thought it does actually apply to us. But ultimately, it's about making that change and, you know, not doing that and being a better person. Because didn't there a bit of redemption that's associated with Raven? Because supposedly Raven got off with some key that he got given, got told to look after something, but he stole it. Is
Yeah,
that
but
any?
it's sacred to Slavic people. That bird is again. I'm not gonna mention even the bird, but that bird is sacred. Yeah, you know.
Prove to me that you are alive.
Yeah,
What's
I just
another?
having some start. Again, it's hard because a lot of time I'm having to do Google Translate and it don't come out too good, does it?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
The Google Translate, man. I hate that shit, bro. Like that shit does
mm,
not work. Since
mm.
since I'm fluent both in Ukrainian and Russian, that shit is.
Yeah,
And
honestly, I wish I could speak it, man. I really do.
yeah, this is what I wanted to ask, and is gonna be the last question about like the environment that we were just talking about. You ever seen that show called, I think, Poor Boy, I think it's called, or uh
Nah, you know what? I haven't watched TV, mate, properly for like 20 years. On a
yeah, it's
level,
like
mate, I don't watch it.
yeah, it's like a British anyway. But I wanted to, all right, so I'm gonna ask you this. Leeds, as far as I know, it's one of the toughest areas, right? Like I know Manchester's pretty tough, and then Leeds is
Yeah,
like,
believe it's pretty rough, but it's not. Well, obviously, when you're brought up in it and you live in there, it's not. It don't
yeah,
feel rough to you at that time.
yeah,
It's just life in it, mate. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah,
I'm an outsider looking in now. Because remember, I got off when I was 19, and I lived a lot of time in Spain. And when I've come back to England, I've not moved back to area where I got brought up. I've moved. I live sort of out of Leeds now. Do you know what I mean?
mhm,
So it's I'm again still detached from that lifestyle and them circles of people. So when I go back there now, I can see how rough it is. It's rough now. It is really rough, especially because it's just flooded it with immigrants from all different
mhm.
countries and a
Yeah, man,
lot of really rough ones. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah, it's bad now, mate. Leeds is getting rough. Leeds, I'm pretty confident next 3-4 years, mate, max, and that's got to be max. But it's just gonna go wild over here, mate. These cities are gonna go up in flames.
Yeah, so yeah, I've seen that. You know, a lot of people probably don't realize, but Western Europe is changing, bro. Like
Man, I can't
ever
believe
since
it.
ever since you guys had, like, you know, Africans and Arabs, and now crazy ass Ukrainians coming over, like shit is changing, bro.
Yeah, but Eastern Europeans who come here in general are actually quite good for
Mhm.
England because
Yeah, because
they'll
they're
go get
working
a
and
job.
shit, right?
Yeah, they'll go get a job. They'll go
Yeah,
get a
yeah,
mortgage. They've got good Christian sort of values, that type
yeah,
of stuff. You know, they try with the kids. They'll go to local football groups and stuff like that. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've met loads of proper decent ones from all over Poland, Lithuania, loads of
Mhm.
Polish, loads of Ukrainians. Not so much Ukrainians, but loads of Polish and that. And they've actually been pretty good, but they're obviously purposely shipping in the worst they
Yeah,
can get. Do you know?
yeah,
And the
yeah.
lowest
Because
IQ as well and all that. Do you know?
I don't know if you've seen that video, but
Yeah, I've seen it.
Chief talked about it, man. How there's this sort of like an unseen genocide that's happening, like internally,
Yeah,
man. As
you
far
wouldn't
as
believe how much it's changed. So I've done a lot of traveling in my time, you know, around country, around England. I've just done because in my first job when I left school, I was a sign fitter. I travelled the country fitting signs on petrol stations, and I
Mhm,
literally went up and down it. And I spent a lot of time in London. Coincidentally, I was in London for about 6 months, and because I was working at each different petrol station around London, I got to see pretty much every part of London.
mhm,
You've got that London I seen in late 1990s, early 2000s just does not exist no more, and that's only in
wow,
20 years.
wow,
It's crazy. It's like if you take Ilford, there's a place called Ilford. It's north east London. It's one of like last sort of big boroughs on outer parts of London. But you go back to late 90s in Ilford, and that were 99% white British. And
mhm.
then you go there now, and it's 99% other.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
and it's just gone, mate. So it's same in Leeds, like where the area I got brought up, it just don't exist no more. The town street, I don't think there's one English shop on Armley Town Street where I got brought up. And little part of Leeds I got brought up in. It just don't exist no more. It is
Yeah,
crazy, and they've flooded it with even more now. So, like I say, they're putting all these men up everywhere, all in hotels, and you can surely it's got to go a certain way. It can only go that way now, and I just how it's gonna pan out, I don't know. See, it's difficult in England because it's just a little island. There's nowhere to go. Do you know?
yeah,
You're here and you're not escaping it. No matter where you
yeah,
go, it
man.
ain't hard to get to that spot. It's not like in America, mate. You get off in there's plenty of places to get off in
Yeah,
America, not
yeah,
found in it, mate. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, man.
definitely not in England. So this is the thing. I know I'm going to face it. I just, luckily for me, I do know a lot of people. I've met a lot of people in my time, and I've got quite good Asian mates. And the only way I can possibly see any sort of turnaround happening is just uniting the Christians
United.
and Muslims.
I was
Yeah,
just thinking that,
the
man.
only
Yeah.
possible way. Because the thing is, immigrant. I know this is going to sound mad, but I don't see it, immigrations are being used as a weapon against us, and
Yes.
no question about it. And it's a really effective weapon, and it's
Yes.
evil when you think about it because of what they're looking to turn it into. Because they're looking to turn it into a complete civil unrest scenario, so they
Exactly.
can come in heavy and bring in their martial law and everyone's fucked.
Exactly.
'Cause that you know how it works, don't you? And wow,
Mhm.
they've got plans with World Economic Forum and Agenda 21. They want to make life as uncomfortable as possible so
Exactly.
people crave normalcy. So that's
Yeah.
why they're doing it in waves. They do it, they let everyone have, then you'll have a normalcy period where it settles in and everyone gets itself back together and they start to
Mhm.
normalise what's just happened to them and that there's been a change, but it's all right. And then they'll let us again and it'll keep
Yeah.
getting worse and worse. And
Yeah.
I definitely see this ultimately, it's just the same as in America. They want to play that civil unrest card and just let us kill each other.
Yeah.
Do you know, they can go to their bunkers in their eyes, you know, because again, they're black themselves. So when you think to sort of level of like Bill Gates, if that's even a real person, 'cause it could just be a character for all we fucking know that
Exactly.
they're allowed for
Exactly.
TV. You know what I mean? But when you're
Exactly.
thinking about that sort of level, then they're just as black as everyone else because they've got the total. Do you know they're getting black by someone above them? you know, because
Exactly.
everything's compartmentalized anyway, isn't it? But ultimately, I think their plan is they think they can get to the bunkers and just let us just kill and starve each
Yeah,
other out.
either bunkers or freaking, space station, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
I just, and you're saying some brilliant stuff. I just wanted to urge, and I've been urging everyone, let's not let them get in our heads. Let's not, because they want us to be scared. They want us to be paranoid. They want us to freaking start, fearing one another. Like, all, like, we have to try our hardest to maintain the love, to maintain the communication like we're having right now. You know what I'm saying? To try to find
100%.
sides of one another that we can agree with, and it's okay to disagree. We don't have to kill each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to try our hardest, man. Right now, I think right now is a pivotal point, because, and this is why we're seeing like distractions everywhere, and this is why we're seeing like all, like even look at the freaking opening ceremony of the Olympics. They're really tempting us. They really want us to,
Oh, yeah, they're
you know
baiting. That's proper bait, isn't it?
yeah, they want us to go crazy. They want us to get angry. They want us, they like, and right now we have to freaking try our hardest not to let them do this to us, man.
Prove to me that you are alive.